What's up, fam? Check this out. Have you ever thought about turning a groundbreaking idea into a luxury brand worth billions? Well, Mercedes Benz cranks out a car every 13 seconds and is among the most desired in the world. But none of this would have been possible without the vision of Karl Benz, a broke engineer who almost watched his dream die multiple times. He faced bankruptcies, harsh criticism, and failures while trying to create something that many thought was impossible, a horseless carriage. How many times have you felt like no one believed in your dreams? Despite all the obstacles, Karl proved everyone wrong and turned his project into an empire. But what started as a story of triumph took a dark and unexpected turn when the company got involved with the Nazi regime. Want to know how Karl Benz, an ordinary guy like you and me, pulled it off? How he went from being broke to the father of the modern automobile? Stick around in this video to uncover all the secrets behind the journey of the creator of Mercedes Benz. Karl Benz was born on November 25, 1844, in Karlsruhe, Germany. But hold up, it wasn't an easy ride. His dad, Johann Georg Benz, a railroad engineer, passed away when Karl was just 2 years old. Can you imagine? Suddenly, the kid was living in a household with no money, raised by a single mom who worked her tail off. Karl's mom, Josephine Valen, was a force to be reckoned with. Even though life was tough, she wasn't about to let her son end up as just another nobody. Day and night, she drilled it into his head, study, kid. And guess what? It worked. Karl turned out to be a total nerd in school, especially when it came to numbers. At 15, young Karl crushed the entrance exam for the Polytechnicum in Karlsruhe. That's where he met Professor Ferdinand Redtenbacher, a guy who was like the Tony Stark of mechanical engineering back then. This meetup was the kickoff for Karl's obsession with self-moving machines. But life ain't all wins, you know? After graduating, Karl tried to start his own gig with some dude named August Ritter. Spoiler alert, it was a total train wreck. The machine shop was an epic fail, and Karl ended up with debt bigger than some small countries' GDPs. That's when Bertha Ringer entered the chat. She'd go down in history as the first test driver ever. She didn't just fall for Karl, she fell for his crazy dream of creating a horseless carriage. So in love that she used all her wedding cash to buy out Ritter and save Karl's business. With Bertha's money and support, Karl went all in on his experiments. In 1878, he patented a two-stroke engine. From there, it was one invention after another. The guy was a machine at making, well, machines. But the big moment, the game changer, came in 1885. Karl dropped the Benz patent motorwagen on the world, considered the first real automobile in history. Can you imagine people's faces seeing that weird three-wheeled contraption rolling without a horse? Fam, can you believe it all started with a poor kid dreaming big? And look where it got him. But hold up, the story's just getting started. Want to know how this crazy tricycle turned into the Mercedes Benz we know today? Karl Benz's life was more dramatic than a soap opera. Just imagine. The dude invented the world's first car, but nobody gave a damn. Can you believe it? Yeah, in 1888, 3 years after creating the motorwagen, Karl was about to throw in the towel. That's when Bertha, his wife, stepped up like a real superhero. One August morning, while Karl was still drooling on his pillow, Bertha snagged the motorwagen and snuck out with the kids. Destination? Her mom's house, 106 kilometers away. Sounds like nothing today, right? But back then, it was like a Mission Impossible stunt. Bertha's journey was wilder than an action movie script. She had to MacGyver a bunch of repairs along the way, used a hairpin to unclog the carburetor, her garter to insulate a wire, and even sweet-talked a cobbler into lining the wooden brakes with leather. Genius, right? And it doesn't stop there. When she ran out of fuel, Bertha bought benzene, what we call gasoline today, at a pharmacy. Yeah, a pharmacy. Back then, the stuff was sold as a cleaning product. Can you imagine the pharmacist thinking, what the heck is this lady cleaning with all this benzene? After 12 hours of pure adrenaline, Bertha rolled up to her mom's house. The news spread faster than gossip on Twitter. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know more about that crazy machine that moved without a horse. This epic road trip not only saved Karl's company from bankruptcy but also proved that the automobile was practical and reliable. Bertha even gave her hubby some valuable feedback. Honey, that hill was a beast. How about inventing a first gear? The result? Motorwagen sales went through the roof. Karl Benz went from crazy inventor to respected visionary overnight. And all thanks to Bertha's courage and smarts. Seriously, this woman deserved her own movie, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. With success came the copycats. Soon, a bunch of people started creating their own horseless carriages. Competition was getting fierce, and Karl knew he needed to step up his game to stay on top. In 1893, Karl dropped the Benz Victoria, a four-wheeled car that was pure flex back then. It was like he'd turned the motorwagen from a Beetle into a Porsche of its time. Business was booming, but the best, or worst, depending on how you look at it, was yet to come. Fam, while Karl Benz was making history in Mannheim, another German dude named Gottlieb Daimler was cooking up his own storm in Stuttgart. It was like fate had put two mechanical geniuses in a crazy race to see who could reach the future of automobiles first. Daimler wasn't messing around. In 1901, he dropped the Mercedes 35 hydrogen phosphide, a car that had everyone drooling. The name? A shout out to the daughter of one of his biggest clients, Emil Jelinek. The girl's name was Mercedes, and just like that, she accidentally became the symbol of one of the most luxurious brands on the planet. But life's got its twists, you know? In 1926, in a plot twist worthy of Game of Thrones, Benz and Daimler's companies merged. That's how Daimler-Benz AG was born, the owner of the Mercedes Benz brand. It was like Batman and Superman decided to form an automotive justice league. The merger was like an arranged marriage forced by the economic crisis. Germany was a mess after Great World Conflict I, and joining forces was the only way to survive. But here's the irony. The founders of both companies had already kicked the bucket when this went down. Karl Benz had said goodbye in 1929, and Daimler had checked out in 1900. The new company didn't waste any time. In 1931, they launched the Mercedes Benz 170, a car that was pure luxury on wheels. It had independent suspension on all four wheels, a big deal back then. It was like they'd put a spring mattress under each wheel, but it wasn't all roses in the Mercedes Benz garden. World Conflict II was coming, and the company was forced to produce airplane engines and military vehicles for the Nazi regime. A dark chapter that the brand prefers not to remember much. After the conflict, Mercedes rose from the ashes like a mechanical phoenix. In 1954, they dropped the legendary 300 SL Gullwing, a car so sick it looked like it came straight out of a James Bond movie. The doors opened upwards, like seagull wings. It was jaw-dropping. In the 60s, the company decided that luxury wasn't enough and dove headfirst into racing. The Mercedes-Benz W196 dominated Formula One in 1954 and 1955. It was like they'd put a rocket in the shape of a car on the track. But Mercedes didn't stop there. In 1979, they invented ABS, that system that keeps the wheels from locking up when you slam on the brakes. It was a revolution in car safety. Can you imagine how many lives this invention has saved? Fam, in the 90s, Mercedes-Benz decided it was time to shake up the market again. They launched the A-Class, a premium compact that made big car folks turn up their noses. But guess what? The thing blew up. It was like the brand was saying, "What's up, rich boy? Now you can flex in the city center too." ESP, Electronic Stability Program. This thing was so advanced it seemed like black magic. The car literally refused to roll over or skid, no matter how much you tried to pull a Vin Diesel. But it wasn't all smooth sailing in the three-pointed stars garden. In the early 2000s, the quality of the cars took a nosedive. It was like watching your idol mess up the lyrics to their own song. The brand's representative got scratched, but they bounced back by investing heavily in quality control. In 2010, Mercedes dove headfirst into the electric car market. They dropped the SLS-AMG electric drive, a 740 horsepower beast that proved electric cars could be as fast as a rocket and quieter than a ninja. Speaking of cutting-edge tech, in 2013 Mercedes shocked the world by unveiling a self-driving car. The S500 Intelligent Drive covered 100 kilometers without human intervention. It was like Kit from Knight Rider had become a reality, but the cherry on top came in 2022. Mercedes launched the EQXX, an electric concept car that promises over 1,000 kilometers of range. It's like driving from New York to Chicago, coming back, and still having juice left for a spin around town, and it doesn't stop there. The brand is investing big time in artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and even flying cars. Yeah, you read that right. Mercedes is developing a flying taxi in partnership with the startup Volocopter. Looks like the Jetsons weren't that far off from reality, huh? Today, Mercedes-Benz isn't just a car manufacturer. It's a tech powerhouse that rakes in over 150 billion euros a year. They've got everything from vans to trucks, buses, and even luxury boats. It's like that first motorwagen of Karl Benz multiplied into an army of high-tech machines. And to think it all started with a poor kid dreaming of creating a horseless carriage. Karl Benz must be doing backflips in his grave seeing where his invention has gone. Fam, Mercedes' story is more than just a company's journey. It's living proof that with vision, persistence, and a little bit of crazy, you can change the world. So, what wild idea are you cooking up to revolutionize the future? Here's something many people don't know about Mercedes-Benz. The dark side of the story. During World Conflict II, the company got tangled up in the Nazi regime's machinery. It wasn't a choice, but a matter of survival in one of history's darkest periods. Between 1941 and 1944, Mercedes was forced to use forced labor in its factories. It's estimated that about 40,000 workers, many of them prisoners and people from occupied territories, were forced to produce aircraft engines and military vehicles. A chapter the company would rather forget, but acknowledges as part of its past. After the World War, World Conflict. Great World Conflict, Mercedes had to reinvent itself. The factories were in ruins, the German economy on its knees. But like a mechanical phoenix, the company rose from the ashes. In 1946, they started producing trucks and buses, essential for rebuilding the country's destroyed infrastructure. The 50s marked Mercedes' triumphant return to the luxury market. The 300 model, nicknamed Adenauer, for being German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer's favorite, became a symbol of power and prestige. It was like Mercedes was telling the world, "We're back, and better than ever." But the real game changer was the 1954-300 SL Gullwing. With its iconic upward opening doors, it was more than a car, it was a work of art on wheels. Fast, elegant, and innovative, the Gullwing catapulted Mercedes back to the top of the global luxury market. In the 60s, Mercedes decided to prove its worth on the track. The W196 dominated Formula One in 1954 and 1955, with the legendary Juan Manuel Fangio at the wheel. It was like the company was saying, "We don't just make pretty cars, we make the fastest ones too." The 70s brought new challenges. The oil crisis forced Mercedes to rethink its engines. The result? They pioneered diesel engines for passenger cars. The 1973 240D was economical, durable, and so reliable that many are still running today. It was the perfect car for those who wanted luxury without spending a fortune at the gas pump. In 1979, Mercedes revolutionized automotive safety with ABS. This system, which prevents wheels from locking during hard braking, became an industry standard. It was like Mercedes had given superpowers to ordinary drivers. The 80s saw Mercedes expand its product line. The launch of the E-Class in 1984 set a new standard for executive cars. It was the kind of car that made you look important just by parking in front of the office. Fam, Mercedes' story is full of ups and downs, innovations and challenges overcome. It's like an engineering and design roller coaster. And you know what's craziest? This journey started with a guy who just wanted to make a car move without a horse. Imagine if Karl Benz could see where his invention has gone. That one you're embarrassed to tell others. The one that makes your heart race. The one that keeps you up at night. That idea? It could change everything. The world is waiting for your idea. Don't keep it in the drawer. Don't wait for someone else to turn the idea you tucked away into reality. Do it now. Because while you're there, thinking whether you should try or not, there's a bunch of people turning dreams into reality. So, are you just gonna watch? Drop a comment below about your dream that gets your heart racing. The one that seems impossible. Big hugs fam. See you in the next video here on Tuned Up Life.